See me?
Yes.
Yep, we see you.
All right,
Yep.
I'm good. So like I said, let's toast it up, okay, ladies? All right, where we at? Where we at? Virginia,
Hey, 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 hey.
huh? I gotta
Here
toast it up
we
to my auntie
go.
guys. Toast it up to my
Mhm.
auntie guys. People to the big love. I love you forever. You know. And as we are coming to the stage, I'm so happy. Sunday brunch. We're on the 12th edition, ladies. We rocking over here.
Hey.
Sunday brunch. Tara Lynn Town,
Episode 12.
Beyond You, 501c3, child behavioral specialist from Bayonne, Tamika Dixon. You already know she a WNBA great. You know what I'm saying? Current business owner, future Hall of Famer. You know what? We all Hall of Famers on here. You know,
That's it.
I'm talking about sitting over there in Linden as we burn up in New Jersey from this 100 degrees. Then we got the godmother sitting over there all pretty, got her hair all boofed up, from the state of Virginia, WNBA great
Got
GM.
it in before they went closing, Callie.
Yes, sir. GM in the present tense, okay? Future Hall of Famer out of DC, but sitting out there in Cali. How is it out there in Cali, Gama?
Oh, it's so hot today. It is really, really hot out here. It's hot everywhere, it seems like. It's hot. Today it is really, really hot.
I was thinking about broadcasting from the backyard. I sat back there and said, hell to the now. Hell to the now. Got on my glasses. Pack. Every one of those types
Too
of
hot.
days. I'll keep it moving anyway. What's up, little
Right.
sis? Meek over there, the baby of the bunch. How's it
What's
over
going
there?
on? It's hot, but I'm here.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Here in the heat. Here in the heat. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? Got Tara out there in South Dakota.
Not hot though. It's not hot. It's raining. I'll send y'all some of my cool weather and y'all
Raining
send me.
men? Is it raining men over there?
No, it's not doing that either. You see, I'm really messed up. Yeah, nobody, no man,
That is too funny.
Mm.
That is too funny. I tell you what, I had a hot topic this week and I just put it out there. And I woke up one morning, and Google is just so friendly. They always want to feed you all the information early, before you even open up the app, you got a notification with something. So this one day in particular, it was like, you know, uh, in Missouri, you sign a death waiver, you sign a COVID waiver in order to send your kid back to school. You guys, are we okay right now? Like, what is going on with that? That scared me. So I put a post up. Are you going to sign the death waiver to send your child back to school in September? And I tell you, there's definitely a difference in the cultures. Um, most of us was like, hell nah, hell to the nah, uh-uh, for lack of better word, okay? But then there were some people who said, yes, I'm going to send my kid back to school. Very few, all right? But interesting fact, one of them I went to school with, she is now a nurse. And she said, yes, I'm in the thick of COVID, I'm a nurse, and I'm sending my kid back. But not everybody has the luxury of being a nurse and knowing what to look for, the signs and symptoms, and you can take your kid's temperature every single day. Not everybody knows the protocol. So, with that being said, Tara, you're like the queen of stats and, you deal with children, so you're always looking up different statistics in regards to kids. And right now that's the hot topic. So, when we talked earlier in the week, you were like, we got to talk about this hot topic, blah, blah. I'm like, you're absolutely right. We do. And so then there went the there went the blast on Facebook, and then I'll go down some of the comments. But talk about why we should or shouldn't go back to school.
No, don't go back to school yet. um, please. Okay. I just think it's not, we're not there yet. And we're not there yet for adults. So how can we be there yet for children, right? So we opened up early for us. And look at what's going on. It's just skyrocketing. The death total is now tripled in some states. The daily death total is tripling in states. If we as the adults, because this is just logic, right? If we're still getting, well, not us, thank you, Jesus, but I'm just saying people who are still getting sick, the numbers are climbing, the businesses are now, headed for another closure and maybe even another shutdown. Why would we even consider a child? So I want to get into why we're considering that, because we're misinformed. So we're told that, oh, don't worry, two and under, they don't have anything. Under 65, okay. Now the numbers statistically are 18 to 35, okay? And I just read an article about 85 children 2 and under in Texas, in one county, not the state, have COVID right now. We're not being told if they're in ICU. We're not being told if they're alive, if we have fatalities yet, but there's 85 new infected children under the age of 2. So I want to say to everyone out there who says, and I see it in the supermarkets, I see pregnant people, I see newborns not being protected, I see children running around with no mask in like Walmart and places where there's tons of people. I say this, you believe what obviously the media, CDC, government is telling us, right? They're telling us that it doesn't really affect children, but the numbers, like less than 1%, okay? Where do these numbers come from? They come from the amount of children that were outside and exposed. If you really look back, where have the kids been? They've been in the house. The schools were closed. So how can you say that only 1.7% have gotten, COVID when you didn't test the mass amount of children? Do you know that there's 52 million children that go to a public school in the United States? Did you test all 52 million children? And then you came up with that number that only 1%? You didn't get a chance to test all of those 52 million children. And that's just public schools. There's private schools and preschools. There's not enough information at all about the numbers regarding kids. And another thing too is there was a 5-year-old for all of the believers, because I'm just getting back what I get from people. No kids have died from it. Not true. 5-year-old, her name is Skylar. She's from Detroit, Michigan. And guess what? No underlying condition, 5 years old, got COVID. 2 weeks later, formed a rare form of meningitis, and she's not alive anymore. And her parents are pleading with other parents to not believe that 65 and older and if I hear the word underlying condition one more time, no, with COVID, I'm not even playing. The underlying condition is the lies that we're being told, by media. And the CDC is reporting the best it can, but now we have the president who's taken over that job. So what are these numbers going to say, right? They're going to say his delusion that it's getting better when it's really not. And we're really not even going to know who has it, what age group. So how can we seriously, statistically, what numbers do we have to go on? So with that being said, when we make a decision, we need our backdrop. We need our background information. What information do we seriously, clearly have to go on to be confident enough to send children back into school? Not only that, we have the medical versus, just the parent, okay? We have my brother's in the medical field. Medical people look at things as symptoms, the illness, the symptom, treat it. Okay, they don't think about the in between as much as we do as people, because they know, oh, boom, you got this, you could take this. You got this, you could, or I can, bring you back doing CPR or what have you. However, for the nurse, once again, we are not taking shots on here, just being real. For the nurse who feels confident, that's great. That's your medical background giving you that confidence. But there was a nurse who lost her 16-year-old son who had no underlying condition. Okay? She was a nurse. She followed protocol. She got dressed in the garage. She took off her stuff. She came in. She washed it. He's a twin. She adopted them from birth. Now his sister has to be here without her twin. Why? Because 16-year-olds don't get this. Right? This is what all the media says. Children, oh, they're fine. Really? Skylar was 5. She's gone now. He was 16. He's gone now. So I think, I know people have to get back to work, and we could get into this because it can go all day long with how many dynamics. You got parents who are just really scared because they have to go back to work. That stimulus was once supposed to come back again. It's not back yet. The dates get pushed back. I mean, you got to know by now that the information we're getting is not true. Anyone with any sense would know that, right? So I want to pose this question to a parent. Would you, if you needed to go to work one day and you felt that you were going to lose your job, would you leave your child with a sex offender? Would you? Would you leave a little girl with a sex offender that couldn't talk, maybe 3 years old, because you had to go to work so bad and you had to make money for the house? Would you do that? No. You wouldn't do it. So, you know what? COVID is the mass murderer, the sex offender, the abuser. It's everything negative right now in this moment in time until we have more information. Vaccination, we don't even have that. We're not even close to that yet. At least for us, we're not, right? Because we don't know what they have for them, but we're not. So I just challenge people to think and stretch their thought process to the word death. I'm not even being funny. Sometimes you got to be edgy and raw to get you to really think about something. Like that can really happen to your child. That can happen to anyone with this. I mean, there's been animals that have this. There's been a cat and a lion. I mean, come on. We're not ready to return children into school. We're not. And I just feel that people should trust the process because the government knows that people are losing jobs. They're just going to have to come off some more money. They will make a resolution. Believe me, they have to. They're not going to let the country totally go under, from the president's messy decision-making process, to bring us to where we are and a lot of other things. But, there are children out there that have this. There's 85 now in Texas. Do you know what I'm saying? In one county, you guys. So I just say as a parent, medical people, that's great that you guys have that confidence in medicine. But until they give me the name of a cure and exactly the protocol to take this away or make people live, there is no medical basis for it. I'm looking up studies that are being done. They're not long enough. Like studies that are done 7 to 10 to 20. Those are studies that you could say, okay, but a study that's been done for 2 months, that's not enough time to view something. We're not prepared. So I just say, parents, please, please, please have faith in the process that it will work out, pull together. You know what I'm saying? If you know other families who are COVID free, you take 2 kids, they take 2. It's time to pull together because we're not being protected with our leadership in society. We're not being protected by our president or anything else like that. So we have to take matters into our own hands in this place. And for the schools that are afraid to lose their funding, would you sell your child? Would you sell your child's life for a bigger paycheck? No. So think about the other families that you're putting at risk when you want to open up a school because you are afraid of the threat from the president that you might lose your funding. There's no price tag on kids. There's no price tag on anyone, but they're helpless and vulnerable. So that's my beginning thoughts on this.
Oh, absolutely. And Tamika, you got a teenager over there. I mean, what's up? You going back to school?
He's not going back. He's
Okay.
definitely not. He's not going back until they figure out a way that we can for sure know that he's safe. I think our district is doing a pretty good job in communicating with the parents about what they think is going to be the process moving forward. For us, I think it's going to be more virtual learning as they finished up with. And I think that's going to continue. But just think about, we've been covering the COVID situation with the sports in the sports world the last couple of weeks, and just think about all the protocols and all the everything that they have to put into place for sports to come back. These kids that can't live in a bubble, you can't put them in a bubble to go back to school. So, until you can figure out a safe way for them to return back to school, I think you got to continue with schooling them online. And, parents just got to kind of be creative as to, it's a lot of parents too that are still working from home and things like that. I mean, thank God I got a teenage stepson, but you think about the younger kids,
Yeah, that
you
has to
know,
be cool
yeah,
because
it's
mom and
difficult.
dad got to be out. It's like
Yeah.
we got to get creative all the way to daycare. You
Hmm.
Yeah.
know, Tara
Absolutely.
had a fantastic idea. I think um, you were talking about like a mom, designate a mom,
Mhm.
to watch the kids, and then you keep that environment safe, and pay her so that she
Right.
can take care of her household. And instead of trying to go and take the baby out to a daycare center, you know,
Right.
in the community, there's a community mom or a
Right.
couple of
A
community
few
moms
of
that
them.
establish a
Yeah.
daycare center. That's trustworthy. Yes, let's do the background check. Let's make sure that these people are viable. You understand? We're gonna go through the same protocol that we're gonna go through when we're gonna put our kid in a daycare center, you know? And then let's get creative. I mean, we used to the community used to raise us. The community raised us, y'all. What you think,
Yeah.
Donna? You sitting there too quiet.
No, I'm just listening because all this valuable information given out.
Yeah,
I don't have any kids, but at the same time, I have a whole bunch of nieces and nephews, like
yeah,
30. I'm a great aunt. I agree with Tara and me about the thing that's baffling to me is the numbers were low before and we took our kids out of school, and now in the room where I actually go to school. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And anybody that's been following us all this time, I wouldn't even go on the bubble. And if I had kids, why would I send? And then the bubble is big adults that we can take
yes.
care of ourselves and do all the social distancing. So why would I send my child to school? The thing that I find relevant at this time is that no one has brought up, and even the president's if school going to take your funding, this is where I listen to words because I'm trying to figure out, okay, when we give those small business loans, then why not give the schools a whole bunch of money so that they can create classrooms where you can have the social distancing, where the teacher to put up a screen maybe in front of the teacher. Why not take all the funding that we're giving all these big businesses to get back up to put it in the school who has our future leaders if you really wanted them to go to school? Because are you seriously expecting a little kid to sit there with no
Breaking up a little bit.
the thought that they think that this will not happen? It will happen, and kids will play with each other. Somebody will forget to wash their hands. So for me, it's like, let's give money to society. Awesome, great, we're doing that. Let's get businesses back up. Awesome, we're doing that. But where's the money to secure the schools if you want them to go back to school? With the social distancing, the teacher has a screen up, because the reality of it is, once again, the most deadly thing is the asymptomatic. A kid could test negative for a temperature, but yet still be positive a couple of days later. And that teacher has the biggest risk of all. I can tell you right now, for me, it's way too soon to go back to school, because the reality of it is we seeing in California. I'm in California, like you said. They don't close back down the nail shops. They don't close back down all the almost the restaurants. And now we're saying kids got to go back to school. California. I think we need to keep doing tests. We need to stop trying to be in a hurry to get back and just say, hey, you know what? Let's work on this to get a virus or to get a vaccine for this. And then as we get closer towards the end of the year, going into 21, let's put everything on the table and then proceed how we should deal with 21. But right now we got to focus with this lion that won't let go, and that's COVID-19. So I can tell you right now, if I had any kids, they wouldn't be going back to school. And I know some parents, I know we have to get back to some normalcy, but that's normal. There is no normal anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's why I be like, get back to normal. What is normal? There is no normal anymore. I just think that we have to be a little more patient, let our scientists and help us identify what we can and cannot do. And as you see, like Tara said, nobody knows what this disease really does. Nobody knows really how we're getting this. I've heard people say they've gotten it in their eye, had mouth and nose closed. I just think they're no, and no, we won't have all the answers, but we can be a little more patient and trying to move forward, because I think we done lost enough lives already. So that's kind of how I feel right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got some people out there, make sure you shoot us some questions. A couple of WNBA players out there. I want to say shout out to Adrian Williams Strong out there checking us out. Love you, girl. Used to love those brawls that she used to have with Lisa Leslie underneath the glass. I used to laugh at them. They used to go at it.
Hey.
Hey, 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 hey. I'm a talk. I gotta bring junk onto the scene. Huh? What?
And then another question too, Goody, I would ask. Now think about it. If all the universities are still trying to figure it out. Now, this is what I'm saying. These are big people, adults. If all the universities are trying to figure it out, what makes you think a 6-year-old can go back to school, a 10-year-old can go back to school, a
The ones that are
16-year-old
gonna,
can go back to school?
they're gonna blow the ones that blow their nose on their arm. Not those. You're not talking about those, right? Right? You're not talking about those kids. You're not talking about the ones that pick their nose, right? No, you're not
Right.
talking about, right? You're not talking about the ones that they touch each other and play tag and all that stuff, right? Not the ones that shoot spitballs at each other.
That's my niece.
We're not sending them back to school,
That's
right?
like exactly. That's how I have to tell my niece. I was playing with her on the couch the other day, and I said something funny, and I was laughing, and she didn't want me to laugh. And she went to put her hand over my mouth, and I grabbed her hand, and I told her, "Hey, no, we can't. You can't put your hand in my face," because I explained to her that that's how COVID is transmitted by touching your mouth, putting your hand. But she didn't, and it was an honest reaction because she didn't want me to laugh at her. So she took her hand and went to put it over my mouth, and I just happened to grab her hand. And I wanted to reiterate to her, this is why we wash our hands constantly. And I was reiterating also to her, don't put your hand in your face so much. Don't wipe your eyes unless you don't wash your hands. And are we seriously expecting like
8-year-old to follow the rules? No,
she
my
said,
niece
to
is
remember all this?
9.
It's just a
That would
heck
happen.
of a responsibility to put on kids anyway. I just think it's a big responsibility that is not theirs to wear. We are the adults, so now we're going to expect them to not do things that traditionally they do in developmental stages at their age. Like, look at that pressure for them by itself. I wanted to say something that I think people should take a look at. And that's, we have a lot of our elders, right, who definitely need to be protected. But we have a lot of our elders who are lonely, bored, and sad, right? And normally when life is going on, we love our elders, but we forget about them a lot, right? Because we got jobs and we get over there once in a while to see them. And they always say, can you come see me? Why y'all never call me as much? Look, this is a time to pull the elders into your home, okay? And you live in their quarantine and very, very, safe, but the elders can also now start interacting, because we lost that generation with these new, the new
Right.
kids, the
We
millennials.
lost the
This is
fight.
the time to revert back to that cultural, everyone pulls together and it takes a village. If you have an aunt or you have a dad or you have a mom who normally lives alone and they're lonely and bored, pull them into your home, give them a room, but they can also help you out with the kids, because they would love to help. If I'm talking about there's no like illnesses, they would love to put their little input in that they've been trying to put in anyway, but we're too busy to take their knowledge, that is amazing knowledge, you know what I mean? And I just think it's a time to do that. Like, if you have a family member, get tested, you guys. They're testing all over the place now. Get tested and know that you don't have it. Find other people that have been tested that don't have it, and you guys share. Move people in, move cousins in that are unemployed, and they haven't had jobs in years, and they just want to do something, and that they're free of COVID. Move them in, and they can take care of your kids while you're working from home. I mean, there's resolutions within ourselves. There really are. But return to the older generation, because that's been on my heart. Even with my dad, he's lonely there, and we're all the way over here, and he's all the way in New Jersey. But it's like he would love to. I can't get there now, but he would love to like cook for Corey and do puzzles with, like, he would love that, right? So here's like a wasted opportunity for us to connect our little ones with our elders. It's a time to do that, and this is an opportunity. There's always something good out of this. That's what I want to say. We could always pull something out of this. We have to, because it keeps us going. As this progresses, we're gonna have to hold on to the little, the little gems along the way, because if we don't, then the whole thing is gonna become overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree
But
with
see,
you.
this is
Let me say what Adrian said. She said, as an
you. Okay.
introvert, I'm sick of my kids being here every day, all day, and and I'm a stay-at-home mom. But they're still not going to school. No. And then she said, I teach at Grand Canyon University. She's actually out in Arizona, and we're starting online. So, if and what's up, my Scotty Scott, my booty book, what it do, Sammy Sosa. I should have brought her on here. Yeah, Scotty coming on here. Houston Comets. We gonna keep on going to war. I need company over here. But anyway, she said that she's not sending her kids back to school, and she's tired of them every day, all day. But she ain't sending them back. She's not gonna risk her kids' life,
Right.
sending them back to school, and rightfully so. But there
Yeah.
are those parents, and it's baffling me, how you can even fathom that. And here I am. I'm a teacher too, and I teach and coach, and I got these emails coming in like, oh, what are we gonna do for practice? What?
Online.
Are you okay? Virtual. Anything virtual. I got you. Rah, 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 rah. Yo, his skills is up. You know what I'm saying? Bam, 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 bam. We could do ha ha ha, whatever. Behind that sound effects and everything. I got you. Blue jeans, here we come. Basketball practice right now. Jump rope, we can get it in. But don't ask me to come out there, and I got parents that are 70 and 75 that I'm here with. You've lost your mind,
Right.
you know? And then with school, here we go, Newark Public Schools. I'm gonna put y'all on blast. Stop sending me emails about coming back to school. Are you okay? I'm getting ready to call the superintendent of school. We'll wait until mid-August, and I'm calling him, say, listen, I need to go in the pool that's teaching online. They have to do this. The teachers that want to go back to school, hey, holla at your girl. Boom. I'm gonna give you a fist bump. All the world. Listen, I'm gonna pray for you, put a hedge of protection around you, but I'm not going back in there. I'm in the pool that's behind it. Google Classroom. How you doing? My
Yeah.
kids be fine. Public speaking. We could do that. Here I am right now, publicly speaking to my girls. Right?
Right.
know, I use all kinds of tools. I use Insta Live. I got Jeff. He has a guest every week. That's public speaking. They do their homework based on Miss America, Tommy Davidson. They watched me. They watched a couple of other people, heavy hitters from the NFL. It could be done.
It can be.
It could be done. People are making it crazy, but forget that coach stuff. Forget that, come when are we what? Okay. Blue jeans.
That's right. I'm homeschooling him until he goes to high school.
Heard
COVID
that.
over.
It is
I'm
what it is. I
playing.
mean, you have the option of going to school online when you go to college.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We've been migrating to that anyway. You know,
There's
unfortunately,
high
Question
schools
for the group.
online.
unfortunately, most of these college campuses have now become museums.
That's true. But I have a question for the group. I just want to hear everybody answer on this. So make no mistake, world, I would not be sending my child to school. But I do have a question that I'm sure a lot of people are throwing it around. And the question is this right here. If the kids stay at home and study, how do we make it fair for everybody? Talking about our underprivileged kids that may not have Wi-Fi and may not have access to a computer.
Boom.
This is the solution we need to find out here. And this is why I say economically, we tried to take care of everybody and forgot about this population when it comes to the education system. Anybody want to tackle that? What's the first thing we can do? Or anybody have any idea of the solutions that we can do? Because let's just face it, this population probably don't have lunch anymore, don't have Wi-Fi, don't have computers, and mom
Yep.
and dad may not even have a job. So how I want to somebody even on Facebook give us
Mhm.
some ideas on how we can solve that problem, because that's what we need to be focusing on. How do we
Exactly.
continue to educate these people? Want to be educated too. What are some resources should we use? I mean, anybody got any ideas? Because this is something we have to tackle. This is something we have to tackle.
Absolutely. And the thing about it too, I'll go ahead first, is you got a man named Bill Gates. Where you at? We need to tap into all of these computer companies out there. You guys have made billions of dollars off of the consumer in the United States and anybody that wants to get a computer from the United States across the globe. So it's time for those types of people to step up. Okay? Adopt a school. Adopt a school, get these computers in there. Okay? We've wasted so much time as a school system trying to figure out how to get the kids back in school that nobody has thought about, okay, what about some computers? And I'm not talking about these outdated computers. Let's get them laptops that they can really use where they can learn. There's so many resources that we can tap into. There's so many. There's Dell. There's IBM. There's who else, you guys? Off the top of your head. How many?
You
Apple.
have Apple.
Mm-hmm. Who else?
There's
Exactly.
also people who don't use computers. I was thinking about that. There's
So many
people who can
computers.
rehome their computer that they don't use. Okay, we could start there because that's not even money. That's just you giving, being kind and doing a kind.
Absolutely.
You can give that away. And there are techies at home that need money so they can be hired. I mean, there should be some money put in the stimulus to hire techies at home to rebuild computers too, computers that may have one little thing or two little things wrong with them that they can just get up and running very quickly and give it to the children. Penny, I'm so happy you brought this up because Adrian, I spoke to you about this the other day, about the poverty. Something that
Exactly.
came across that we're not thinking about. But I was thinking about it. That's why I started researching some stuff on it. These kids in the poverty demographics, they're not just their lunch, their breakfast. Their breakfast and their lunch is in school, is dependent upon school. And dinner is when they get home, and that's if they can even get it when they
Yep.
get. So now we're having kids, and this is another article that I read, that are now going to the doctors, and the doctors now are noticing that they're malnourished since the beginning of COVID. Now, no one has been talking about this. This should be as equally as death, in my opinion, because it could lead to that. But you know what? I say to myself, there's so many government programs already set in place, right? So we have EBT and we have WIC for the younger children.
Yep.
Why not those programs get more monies put into them so that they can, while we're going through COVID, extend the amounts that families get for food. And then WIC can definitely give the milk, the formula, the cereal, and everything for children that are 5 and under. Those two programs are already in place, and they're already getting grant funding. So you can do that. You can already just put more money into it, or just extend your program, or raise up the amounts that they get. That's easy. That's something that's easy. And the computers, like I said, you have a computer laying around, give it away to someone that doesn't have a computer. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we don't give them something broke, but something that you just don't use. A lot of people don't like desktops. I do. I'm old school. I have my little desktop, and I carry it around like it's a laptop. I don't care. But I'm saying a lot of people have those laying around. Give those to the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And Meek, I want you to do me a favor and go on our Facebook Live and look at some of the questions, because Franthea Price is on fire right now with some of the things that she's saying. I'm trying to keep up with a couple of those things. But while I got you, Tara, Adrian Strong, she says there's also a concern about mental and physical abuse, whereas they have a reprieve when they go to school. Now they are stuck at home all day.
Yeah, this is something else that's been increasing, just because we get alerts in my world, since I'm, contracted with the state. And so the Child Protective Services all over the nation are being called way more than usual. And that's because these parents don't have the tools to be at home with their children all day on. They don't have the tools to begin with. That's why the children are abused. There's domestic violence cases going on. There are children. A 13-year-old boy just committed suicide because of COVID, because he couldn't go, to school to be with his friends. And then there's more children being abused. And, it's just, like I said, we talk about this every week about the mental aspect to everything. There's things that could be done with that too. We are doing them with my company. We are seeing clients that are referred through the state, and we're doing telehealth sessions, and we're coaching the parents. We're getting them through this time. And these are children that have, I don't like to use the word special needs, but for the sake of the conversation, because y'all know I use the word beautifully diverse, and so I don't like to use special needs, but these parents have a double, because imagine having a child with an extreme delay, and you just don't know how to deal with that. You don't know how to process that. So telehealth sessions, and the government stepping in and just revising the programs. You already have the programs in place, so you can't say that the allocation of funds doesn't match, because it already matches. You just need to put more in there. Do you know what I'm saying? And revise it so that this can be addressed, because this is serious. It really, really is serious.
Definitely.
And there needs to be coaches for parents. There needs to be online coaches for parents, because we have developmental specialists such as myself, behavioral specialists, PT, OT, and medical professionals. But we're coaching these parents. What about, we're working on it. That's all I'm going to say is we're working on it. But there needs to be parent coaches through this COVID, because even if your child is at home with you, you still have to work. Like right now, because I like to be in the moment, my dog, that I'm babysitting is arguing with me, right? And I'm sitting here on the show, and he just keeps talking. And I gave him the little snap 4 times. That didn't work. What if he was a kid and I'm talking with a client?
You
And
know
you
what?
still,
I thought he was in agreement with you. That's what I took it as. I thought he was in agreement with you.
he's
You
over
know,
here like, and
he
he's
over
still
there
I
trying to
listening
took
to
it as
you.
he said he not going to school. He said, "Don't try to send me to obedience school."
right,
So, and anyway, he likes the kids being home anyway all day with him.
right. Don't
So
send my friends
life
back.
is great. A
Yeah.
dog's life is great right now. So you know,
Yeah,
I have Franthea Price on there. She said teachers also have been sending paper homework home to parents who do not have computers. So that was a solution that they were kind of doing. Um, and that's tough.
yeah,
That's tough. In this day and age, that's tough. The paper. Scotty, she came on I think probably a little later because we had already addressed this. She said we don't need to drop our kids off at a neighborhood house and go to work because everyone in the community is probably doing the same thing, and there's still no social distancing or face mask wearing at in an even smaller place. And so we had talked about that, Scotty. We had kind of covered it where we were talking about using the elderly,
yeah,
family members, making sure that everyone is COVID tested prior to that. Of course, those kids have to go home. And you do run a small degree of risk because those people have to go into another environment and you don't know their practices. But like at the minimum, it's better than parents sending their kids back to school, and just where the risk is greater. You guys agree with me? Anybody want to take on that?
Well, the thing that I want to talk about with that is, and you know, this may hit some people the wrong way, but let's start with, I know I've been tested. Has everybody been tested?
Yes.
Because even talking to some friends of mine one time, and I had some people say, "Oh, I don't want to go get tested because I'm gonna get sick." I was kind of like, "What?" I wanted to get tested because I want to know.
You
I
okay?
wanna I wanna know. I'm one of those people that I prefer to know. And
Exactly.
then I just think that COVID-19
I'm losing you.
outdated. We want to be able to compete with other countries like Japan and Europe as far as the
Absolutely.
education. Now, I say when you're in kindergarten, kids should start playing on the computers. They play on our phones already, so they're already used to the technology. To be honest with you, if I can't do something, I can call my 6-year-old niece in here. She probably knows how to do
Same,
it.
same thing.
That in schools, starting as early as kindergarten, I believe that
Lost you, Virginia.
it's like with us not having health insurance for everybody. Having Wi-Fi should be an essential part of everybody home because that's one way we could have combated this. And it doesn't and everybody home. There is a form or a way to communicate. Now, all our kids that are growing up after this point, if you have a computer, when something like this hit again, it will not affect us this way. And this is why I say we have to grow, we have to learn, and that's what adversity creates. Adversity forces you to stretch, and COVID-19 is forcing the world to stretch and to become better, think of better ways of doing things. And now, if all our kids are growing up on a computer, when this happened, they know to go in that virtual world. They're not afraid that they've never touched a computer before. Because if you're not confident and you haven't been exposed to it, you're going to be afraid of it. So if you're exposed to it early and it's constantly reinforced, that this would just be a kick in the bucket. And I'm saying, no, can we do that now? No, but when we come out of this, we can do that. You know, Direct TV, Spectrum, those are the cable coming out here. Everybody house should have Wi-Fi because you're still going to make your money from all the cable people. And this is the way the world's going with social media, online, everything there. We have to advance with that. And some things we have to prepare as a society and say, this is what every home should have, you know, and it's one of those things now. It's one of
Yeah.
those things, and this is when I say come back to the money issue where you have a president, and I'm not one to try to bash anybody so much that's saying, oh, I'm going to take your funding. No, more funding should be given.
Exactly.
More funding should have been given to. I'm looking on the news on CNN, and I'm looking at a school in Japan that when the kid walks in, they go through this machine first, then they walk up to, it's an electronic screen where they stick their head in and it tells them if they have a fever or not. They're back in school. They're being revolutionized. They're using modern technology to solve the problem. And we're still over here competing with, oh, go back to school, not go back to school. Okay, we all know what the problem is, but my thing is, okay, anybody got any answers or solutions? And this is where that upper leadership need to be focusing now on what is the solution. We all know what the problem is, but what is the solution? And Japan, yeah, I'm gonna give it to them. They got it right now. Well, look at their schools. They're back in, going through the two systems. I mean, they're teaching. You know, their kids have computers. You know, I'm not saying their country is better now. No
It's just
way.
a little
America.
smarter.
I think America's great, but we have to go back and establish what is the baseline for the basic necessity that every family is entitled to, minus economics. Minus economics. We have to get to that.
Absolutely. And no, I had
Yes.
the had the had the pleasure and just the blessing of being able to play in China. And so I can honestly say from being there that they are definitely more forward thinking. They are definitely more innovative
Yes.
than we are. And so, I'm not, even embarrassed to say it. Like I bought 2 to 3 different phones, bought them back because I was geeked because it was the video phone. And the phone with the video in it, like we just normally use right now. It was out 3 years before it even came here to the United States. And so they're just it's just the way that they are. And so instead of just antagonizing those people, we should kind of be looking at how they do things
Learn
because
from it.
they're so much ahead of us. And I'm kind of proud of Arizona because Adrian keeps coming on and out in Phoenix, Cox is giving free Wi-Fi, and the
Yes.
districts are loaning.
Awesome.
I mean, like loaning, you may as well just let them have it so they can go to each grade. Like, what are you gonna? They gotta give it back after this year is over. Just give it to them. You know, loaning laptops, and you can pick up lunch all year long, even in the summer. They had that. They definitely had that
Yeah.
program. They were just so slow up here in New Jersey to do anything. It was like almost like it was so sad, because they when they trying to do anything else, they can come up with the money, but you know, um, I'm trying to read some of these other things that are on here.
I think when you look at, you know, I think that a lot of the issue that we're having is like every municipality and every state has been left to do everything on their own. So
Times, no
you have
protocol.
really yeah, you have really no uniformity throughout. So you have some districts and some school systems that are doing the best they can and kind of getting it right, like the free lunch programs year round and the computers that are loaned to the kids so that they can continue their schoolwork if they don't have a computer at home or if they don't have Wi-Fi connections, they're given a hotspot so that they can get their. You have those schools and those districts that are doing that and that are making sure things are right. And then you have districts that are not because everybody's kind of trying to
Yeah.
figure this thing out on the fly and there's no uniformity.
Right.
So,
And
that,
economics too, because there's a
yeah,
huge difference between Newark and Linden.
yeah. And that's the
Understand?
issue. That's
And
that's the issue.
the poverty issues, and you know, you have those areas where COVID is high. And that's my biggest concern with going back over to the school. Like, COVID was high over there. I'm not trying to be in that type of environment. And I don't want to have the responsibility of taking some kid's temperature. I just don't want to do that. I don't want to be exposed like that. You've lost your mind. So go ahead and put me in the online pool, please, because I'm good. I'm good for that. And people are on here really putting up some good stuff. They're saying everything is smart, smart, smart. Smartphones, smart appliance. Damn it, they got to be a smart robot out there that's going to teach your kids. Apple has a fantastic. Listen, got 'em. They sweeping rugs and carpets and all that other stuff. So bottom line is somebody out there that be able to teach a kid how to navigate through the computer and how to be on Google Classroom. We in the age of the Jetsons, y'all. Y'all better bring the Jetsons back. So we are in the times that we watch TV. Meet George Jetson, wife, daughter Judy. Stop, nigga. Just stop. All right. Franthea says, my son is 6, and at his school they have computers, and he goes to class that teaches him how to navigate through a computer.
Yeah.
How simple is that?
It's very.
That's how you keep up, and that's how you keep up, and that's how you keep up with other countries. That's how, you develop future leaders. That's how you develop forward thinking.
Absolutely.
And the good thing about it is then maybe the schools can't complain and saying they don't have enough money for books because the books,
You gotta worry about it. They're digital.
Right.
and you could really
Absolutely.
alleviate a lot of things when you when you put it in technology, and this is where I think we have to redefine, who we are, and where we're trying to go with our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And then someone's on here. Trina Smith said, "What's up?" Uh, they haven't even ran some test dummies. So the first day of school opens up and kids are to wear masks for 8 hours. What about the kids that ride the bus, no recess? How do you keep them from touching each other? Ah!
You're
They
not
in a
going.
cubicle.
That's a great
In the
question.
cubicle. So now they hitting each other with spitballs. Pow! I
Right.
got you anyway.
Right.
Like this is crazy. Like and that's true. Like, but how do you get a test dummy? Like a test dummy? Like boo boo boo. I got the COVID. I got the COVID. Like what does the test dummy do?
You crazy.
This is why
I
we
know
need.
they were talking one time. No, they were speaking one time. I know what they were trying to do at high school. One of the things that was thrown on the table, but with the elementary kids, there's no way you can. There's nowhere around that
Bananas.
they can't go back to school. But with high school, they were trying to come up. I was thinking about they had. I thought it was a clever idea. Then I was like, I wonder could that work? And one of the things they said was, as opposed to kids exchanging class, the teacher just exchanged class in high school.
Mhm.
Where all the kids are not, they don't leave the room once they tested, they're in there. But the teacher changes the class, which, puts less traffic out,
On the
but you
kids
still got to
walking
have
the
lunch,
hallway.
and I guess you can do that on different shifts. I just don't think when it comes to little kids, there's no way
Mm.
like Tara to have that expectation that they can follow every rule and
Yeah.
regulation. It just won't happen.
It will.
Yeah, those babies to get them to wear masks for 8 hours is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like the mask, it starts off like this, you guys. That's how they look the first hour. Okay? Second hour.
Right. And then it's gonna be on top of
You
their
are
head.
Okay? Third hour.
You
Right.
crazy.
Okay? You know what I'm saying? Come on. You know how we do. It's gonna be like this.
It is. And then they're gonna share them. They're gonna
or
share
not at
them.
all.
Please. You
Right.
know?
Or not at all, because I know in my bag when I have my niece, and I can tell you this now, I always keep a mask in the car because sometimes I may run out of the house and jump in the car. But since I've had my niece, I also noticed that, guess what? I have to put 2 masks in my bag because I already know she's 6. She hopped out the car the other day and I go, where your mask at? I said that to her. She goes, I don't know. But I know I have one in my bag, but I kind of try to, sure, where you can't without this mask, between mask, between mask. But she constantly hops out the car without the mask. This is a perfect example. And you're asking them to do something in school
They're
where
like,
now
yeah,
I have to make sure I have 2 masks in there, because one for me and one for her because she's 6. She's not going to remember. The only thing she wants to know is we're going skating. We're going out for some breath of air, or I want to go to McDonald's, or whatever we're doing. And so I have to have that extra mask all the time.
yeah. It's gonna get sticky icky. I got a childhood friend of mine on here, Sherry McGill. She had them feet, y'all. She was bad in soccer. She had them feet, and I went to high school with her, Bayonne High School, and she said, plus they're saying air conditioning is not good for the classroom because it keeps the germs in it and it circulates. So what you do um, is keep the classroom is like 90 degrees. You know what I'm saying? And then you can open a window, but it's just
You
like
can't do that.
it's too much.
No,
Like,
legally you
so
can't do
how
that.
the hell you turn on the okay? So you turn on the air conditioner and keep the window open. That's what we do.
No, you can't even do that anyway legally. The temperature is part of the school's rules and regulations, and it cannot be 90 degrees. Even when it's 90 degrees outside on the playground, a
Really?
lot of schools have protocol to bring them back inside when it reaches 90 degrees. So that would be a challenge just from a law that's in place for children under child protective law. So, but I will say this filtering systems in the school, I don't know how often they change them, but I change them in my house. I'm OCD with my filtering systems. They're $10. They're cheap. Keep changing them, y'all. I'm serious. Keep that air clean, 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 clean.
That's
And
a
even,
great point, Tar. That's a great point.
yeah, because that's what I do in my home, period. Um, and also to the water, just getting the REO systems that the schools have for because the water too. Now you're gonna have people drinking water from the fountains. You got to think about all of these things. Water,
Nah, they closed in high school. They closed down. They shut the water. Like you couldn't use the fountains no more. Anything that you were doing that had that was common ground. They wasn't, what I'm saying, and even to the bathroom, you had to be let in. So it wasn't like you could go in there and hang out anymore. So they started shutting those types of things down. Gotti over here talking about slingshot hour. I could just imagine it's just gonna be like a school will be a scene at an animal house. At an animal
no,
house.
things were shut down temporarily because once again, under the child protective law, you have to have water for them. You have to. It's a state law in every state. It's mandated. So they
Okay.
they shut it down, but it was temporary. Can we be long term without water for kids? Because now you're violating the
Well,
child
you can have
protective law.
bottled water.
They were recommended
You
to
can
bring
have bottled
bottled water
water
to school.
because
Yeah, you could.
They were recommended to.
because
They
I
they
would
told
not
them there was a note that was sent
yeah
home.
But what
So
I would not have
when
water
they
fountain. I can push that.
That's gonna take all day. Like you see what I'm saying? How many things that needs to be set in place when they wash their hands.
exactly.
That's gonna take all day when all of the kids are back in there every day to only have a few students wash their hands. It's gonna be
Yeah.
time consuming. You know what I mean? It's gonna take away from the time. Yeah, it's a lot to. That's why we're not ready, y'all. We're not ready to go back to school.
So check this out. What about the kids who
And
have compromised issues? What about kids that got compromised issues? Okay, the kids that bust
a
in,
beautiful challenge, kids. What
they have
Tara
Yes.
always say.
Thank you,
have
Penny.
yeah, that child is
Thank you.
beautifully diverse.
Thank
Okay,
you.
child is
That's it.
beautifully okay, and this kid has asthma and can't wear a mask all day. That's a good point, Shari. I appreciate you sitting there. Okay, and
Yes.
can't wear a mask all day. So they have to take it off for a little while. Now you have to go and you have to make new accommodations. Now, just the kid already has accommodations.
Mm-hmm.
Now you gotta add more accommodations to all of these kids. where they got to have a extra resource time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not resource, but recess. You know, they're gonna have to slot time where those kids can go outside and get some air, come rain, come shine, because they're not gonna be able to have that mask on because they're gonna have an asthma attack. Oh no, they can't leave the room. Okay, so they're gonna sit in the corner and have oxygen. That's another accommodation.
And that's an underlying condition. They're all beautifully diverse. Children have underlying conditions. So I wouldn't even dare, okay? And they're protected by the Disability Act. This is why I get 5 clients like every hour, because the state is getting so many referrals of children with underlying condition, our beautifully diverse population that are at home, and their parents need help. They need coaches, they need guidance, they need everything. These children should not even be part of a thought process to put them back into school, because they're going to be at risk coming in the door. Do you know what I'm saying? Never mind him not being able to keep the mask on, but once he takes the mask off, he's at risk for, like Penny was saying, you know, the person who doesn't show the symptoms, that's just playing around, could be the same person to transfer COVID to someone that will die like that from it in a matter of days, because their lungs already have issues. So in my opinion, they wouldn't be in the equation. They would be at home, right, the way that they are right now, because that's what we're doing now. We do telehealth sessions to help these parents along. They can't go into school like this. I mean, I don't want any child to go into, but the ones with the underlying conditions, you're just asking for fatalities. Seriously.
It scares me just because of the way that this virus affects children, and that you just don't see it. You know, you think it's just a common cold because they only get a cough or they get a sniffle and whatever, and then after a couple of days it goes away. But for the most part, but
Yeah.
the damage that it does to that household is incredible, because that kid comes home and can wipe out the whole family. In New
Yes.
Jersey, and Tamika can vouch for this, was a family that the whole damn family got wiped out. I think maybe only 2 people survived. Wiped out the whole family. COVID went in the house. Don't matter how it went in the house. It got in the house. It don't matter how the flea get in the house. Once that flea gets in the house and multiplies, it's a wrap. You know, so that's what scares me. And I hear people, oh, I'm gonna send my kid back to school. Why? If you got grandma, grandpa, or you got an auntie or uncle, you get them tested and you let them be in the household, live in the household for the school year or whatever.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And let
Wait,
them see what can happen.
first of all, Goody, you got to make sure grandma on board, because if we talking about my
Grandma
grandma,
gotta be on board, of
she
course. We
she
talking like
she
Yeah.
listen. She won't even let me get 6 feet within 6 feet of her. She asked me to go to Costco for her the other day to pick up some paper towels and stuff because she couldn't find it in the stores. But I had to drop it on her porch. She was not playing. She is not
okay.
playing with this
There's
Yeah.
COVID.
some people that really are not playing with this, and rightfully so. I give it up to
Right.
them.
Right.
You
I
know,
agree.
So grandma got to be on board, but most
Yeah.
grandmothers would.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. But for the most part, it'll be
Yeah,
somebody
but
that's
the problem too is this though. Grandma can't teach what they're teaching in school. You know what I'm saying? They could be there for support.
absolutely.
They could be there for
Yeah.
that, because the problem that most of the parents got, that they can't even teach it with all the different mathematics and all this stuff that's going on. And that's why I say, we just have to reinvent ourselves into a better
Yeah.
version of ourselves when it comes to our
We
school.
are
Because I
absolutely.
even know parents, I got a lot of friends that have kids, and they like, I'm looking at this math problem, and I know 3 plus 3 equals 6, but the way the
Yeah,
teacher want her to break it down, I'm just gonna look at the way the teacher want her to break this down, like 3 plus 3 equals 6. And even I looked at it and went, why would I teach somebody like that? But the point was, it's like these computers have got to start early. That's
Yeah.
my answer. It has to start early.
absolutely.
The book, everything now has to go to electronics that people are comfortable with it, and it's just showing us, because the one good thing about COVID that I do like, and not to bring in another topic because I know we've been on for a while, is that it has forced everyone to go back into those family dynamics and build that family structure stronger. That's the one thing I loved about Europe when I played in Europe for 10 years. They run to the mall. They go home to their family. So guess what? Now that we're in COVID, it's not a shock for me to see my brother or my sister or my mother in the house, because I'm used to not seeing them. This is still a part of society, and especially in America, that's been lost, that family dynamic and that family structure. I don't believe that school takes 5 days. I say we need to go to 4 days for work, 4 days for school. And the reason I say that, because the family needs to have a whole day, that something I want to do with my child, and I just don't have the weekend. You know how quickly 2 days go, like that.
Right.
Where even the parents have a day to rest, and this is why I say we need to revisit all these things. Not to bring that up, because I'm going to be okay. Like, I can, and anybody knows me, Meek knows me the best on here. I can be around a lot of kids, and I don't even have them. I don't have any kids, but I love kids, and I can be around them. And if I had to teach them, I'd figure out a way to teach them,
Right.
But the point is, it shouldn't be a stranger that I have to be with my family for a week or 2 weeks. Be a joy.
Absolutely. I'm gonna
I
entertain too.
think a lot of people, I watched CNN, a lady who had a beautiful, diverse kid, and she said, "Well, I can't go to school because I just can't do it." I've been invested in that you can do something. Like, I'm not going to just hand my kid over to somebody, diverse or not.
Right.
I'm still going to stay engaged. And I know a lot of people are going to tell me nothing you just said and done or whatever, but what is will, there's way.
Yes.
I turned out pretty
Penny,
good.
yeah,
We
Penny,
didn't have anything, and I turned out great. No, I'm just saying.
Right.
It starts
yeah,
in the home. A lot of
It's
resources we didn't have, but I became very successful.
right.
yo, Ruff said, Penny killing my business with this 4-day work week. I'm barely working 3 days. You're killing me, Penny.
Well,
yo,
the answer to your
I
question is
love it.
this. The answer to his question, he ain't gonna need that. He ain't not gonna need that 5th day, because people are gonna catch on quicker because they rested. They're sharper. Their brain is there. They're total. They're not thinking, oh, I don't want to do this. They're gonna be looking forward to doing it. They're gonna embrace it. There's so many positives. Everybody needs a moment to catch their breath.
Oh yes.
And we all know that. And sometimes if we don't, if it's not mandatory, we're not going to take that moment to catch our breath.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's just one last thing, because we are winding down. We on the 3:30 mark, and we're going up to 3:45. I always keep extending because we just keep going and going and going. The effect that we have, and then more people are coming on and asking more questions. I love it. What happens to the teacher that caught COVID? So now the children have to be tested and have to stay home for 2 weeks at least, Gama.
Well, that's the thing. You started the conversation for the people who weren't watching.
Right.
Should the teacher sign what you call the death warrant?
Yep.
And I would say absolutely not. And this is why I said it's like, because ask yourself, is one teacher and how many kids in a public school? What is it, 25, maybe 30? Could be as high as 25,
Could
30
be
in
in
the
the
class.
class.
Like I said, I don't have any kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why am I asking what the teacher is at risk, and she has a high opportunity to get it because there's so many kids in the class. So I can honestly tell you right now, it's not fair to ask a teacher to sign this paper or they'll be fired. There should be a law against that. I'm hoping there's one against that,
Yeah.
because everybody got a right to live. And this is why I say the world is going to show you. Forget what I'm saying. Let's just look at what's happening right now. And we
Mm-hmm.
opened up too soon. The virus is done spread it like a wildfire, and now they're trying to go back and shut down things and put us back in the house and close up everything. So school would be the last thing that I would be trying. I was saying, and like I say, to take this year, what are we in July, almost August? So we got what, 6 months left? That in 6 months we need to be focusing on getting a vaccine. We need to
Right.
come up with other solutions that are not taking school money, not threatening people with their job. It's not the time for that. It's just not the time for it. And if a teacher doesn't want to go back, then yeah, hey, I can take my now. If I was a teacher, I'd be like, kick rocks. We're not going back.
Okay.
It's
There
not
you go.
working because I love
Pretty
living.
much.
I'm not going back.
Absolutely. And
So
that
now
just
when you fire me and you're going to get another teacher in there, how are you going to get her acclimated to what's already happening?
Yeah.
exactly,
No,
exactly.
we need to be realistic about where we're going, and it's not about you do this or this will happen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And, that kind of goes on to what Franthea was saying. She's on here. She says, am I going to need a substitute teacher already? Because my son is a mess for homeschooling. That's what we need to be focusing on. We need to
Right.
be focusing on teaching these kids how to navigate through Google Classroom or whatever platforms, because that's what I use. And it works well for me. It really does. Other schools might have different systems in which they're using, but I can tell you this, for me it works great. But does every kid know how to navigate through there? It took probably about three to some kids I never saw. And I kid you not, I had 100 and something students. By the time COVID struck, and then we started to, migrate towards, being online, I had 35 students for the rest of the year. What happened to the rest of those kids? They didn't have a computer. They're impoverished. They live in Newark. There's no Wi-Fi. Parents aren't working. Their circumstances were totally different. I have no idea how Newark is going to start or open school up in September, October. I really don't.
Adrian, I wanted to say something about the teachers. In Arizona, they are doing something really cool. And they are having the teachers go to the classroom so that the kids have a normal setting, and well, what normal is today, opposed to them just teaching them from home, so that there are no kids in the school. It's just the teacher in their private classroom, and they all have it for the time that they have it. Then it's cleaned, and the next teacher comes in. It's their real classroom that they would have taught in, but with no kids. And the kids are coming in online to their classroom setting. So they're still seeing the classroom, they're still seeing their friends, but they're away and the teacher is there very protected. So that's one thing that I thought was amazing, and I feel that all of the states should kind of latch on to that. And another thing I want to tell parents out there, there's two things. Each state, not all of them, but most of them, there's a fund for it's a scholarship fund for parents who technically become the teachers. Okay, so there's been family that got like $17,000 for the year. The school pays the parent the money that they would have got from the funding, because they get per child, they get funding per child, and it does go on your your income. And but if you are the teacher and you designate, I'm going to homeschool, the state of Arizona, there's a couple of states, there's a few states, not a couple. California is another state that does this. I think it's amazing. It's like you get paid to teach your own children, but obviously the funding goes towards curriculum, it goes towards if you have to call in a tutor, internet, all of that, but it does not come out of your pocket. So that's another, right now, if you're in the state of Arizona, you can look into that. And state of California, you just go in and say, what states pay parents to homeschool their kids on Google, and all of the states will pop up. And then their application process takes about 40 days for it to go through. But I'm saying this to say you better do it now, because a lot of people are going to make that decision to totally really homeschool their child versus the school homeschooling, and that funding is going to go away very quickly. And then the last thing I wanted to say is I am right now in the process of expanding my company to support parents at home, and also to to do an online. There's an age group that we're forgetting about, and that's the 2, 3s. We have the middle school, we have the high school, but where's their curriculum? I've done my research. There's not an online circle time. So I personally, this is how I want to, give back here. I'm going to do 4 sessions, 8, 9, 10, and 11, so that all estates and parents can log in and they will get a real circle time for their 2-year-olds. It's like 1.5 to about 5 or even 6. And they can come in the classroom with their little friends, okay, so that they socialize. And it is a real curriculum. It is a real circle time, animated, the funnest little hour, 4 days a week. And then there'll be an art day on Thursday that there's an art activity that's shown right there, and it's live. It'll be filmed live, but the different times, that if 8 doesn't work for you, you can click in at 9 and still see the live things that I've been sitting here thinking about. How could we really? Because I'm about like Penny. We know what the issue is, right? We know what the issue is. I'm about resolution. It's too much of the issue, and that's what causes anxiety. When you keep talking about it, right? If your car broke down, oh, my car is broke. Oh my God! Now the next thing is broke on the car. Now the next, and now you into 5 days. Well, if you needed to get a battery, go get that battery and come off that money, and then you don't have a complaint, and you're not setting it up for a domino effect of negativities to come your way. So those are just some things that I'm personally doing and working on, and the classroom will be up next week, as a matter of fact. So people can, contact and go on. I'm going to have it on my social media. So parents, I'm doing those 2 things personally, I'm saying, as part of the resolution.
So people can hit you here, because there's people hitting you here right now. So
Okay.
hit you here, then you can check in and just see those parents that would love to have their kids in circle time. I vouch for you. I seen your work, your little puppet thing.
Whatever.
Awesome puppet show, you guys.
Leave my circle time alone.
And, they got faces and kiki, and I was like, oh, okay. You had me going, and
you wanted to join my class. You wanted to join my class.
I wish that they would mandate it, and Marquita Aldridge is out there, Woods. Shout out to you. I love the things that you're doing with your real estate show. That's hot. Keep doing your thing. But listen, like with her, she's doing a fantastic job. Everybody's getting these little information things out there, and I want all of us to be a bridge to one another, and just keep on, reinforcing and helping one another to do their thing. And I think that this will be something that's awesome for you, Tara. I think that is awesome. We got our little baby of the bunch over here. She has a tendency to get quiet. I gotta pull her in. I gotta pull her in. I gotta pull her back. So over here, she's got a rental car business over there. I was trying to get a car all week, and then I actually didn't need it, but I appreciate you, being over there in Linden. So if anybody needs a rental car, she's out there, her business, definitely could use some help during this COVID time and stuff like that. And Godma's out there in Cali, and, she's just an extension of everything. She the Pied Piper over there doing her thing. So, that one got my dude's gonna get it.
Another name, Pied Piper. Okay.
Everybody following after right now, so it's all good. But anyway, some closing thoughts, ladies, because we're getting ready to wrap it up. I love you. Anybody?
I'll start out.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I would just say, parents, educate yourself. If you feel like this is not a good time, which I'm sure 95% of the parents probably think, not sending their kids back, you do what's right for your kid. Don't let anybody bully you and then sending your kids back to school. Do what's right for you and do what's right for your family and your child. And then let the chips fall where they may. But it's definitely not a time, in my humble opinion, to send your child back until they have more protocol in place and we know where this thing is going. Period.
Absolutely. Come on, Tara, give us some. Bless us.
Mika said it. I'm serious. It's like you wouldn't throw yourself into the fire, so why throw your child into the fire? You know what I'm saying? You don't know what puts this fire out just yet. So stay home, stay safe, and once again, use resources, be creative, and use resources that you already have. Even in the country, we can use resources that we already have, programs that are already set in place. Add more money to them, move some things around. It just takes creativity, prioritizing, your health. Like Mika said too, educate yourself. There's a lot. I just gave parents tips about finding, getting the funding to be at. You're already at home with your kids. Get the money to be at home with your kids, and then the pressure will kind of subside a little bit. We still have some kids making our parents really, really crazy. But I'm an advocate for kids and parents and people in general. So, reach out. If I can help in any way, I will. And everyone just wear those masks, be safe, and be smart, like the smartphone.
Definitely. I want people to use this as a place to get in contact with anybody on this panel, Tara for, her circle that she's going to do with the babies, and Tamika for Car, and, Penny for her thoughts, and Nickel for your kiss. I think that what was the name of the song or something like that.
A
Anyway.
dime if you tell me that you love me. That's what it is. A penny
You're
for your thoughts,
stupid.
anything for a kiss. A dime if you tell me that you love me.
You better stop it. And that's the reason why we say the Godmother for last, because she did it bigger.
Well, I echo everything that Meek and Tara said. My challenge goes out to the leaders in this country, because I feel that, like what Meek said, not having no uniformity earlier and everybody fending for themselves, it's not a time to fend for ourselves. It's a time to get some level headed people to come up with some solutions, a collectively logical, well thought out solution. I'm challenging our, like I say, leaders to put more funding in the schools. The school is needed, you know. I mean, so much more is needed in these schools because we want to stay ahead of the curve. We want to be one of the best thinkers. We want to create great leaders. So everything they said, I wouldn't be sending my kid to school. But if you send her to school, I'm not going to judge you because we all have different circumstances. My challenge is straight to the top because it starts at the top. More funding for schools. You bail out businesses. You're bailing out a lot of people that need it. We need the money now, but you have to put the money into the schools. It's showing you stop making our educational system last or next to last. Let's put it back where it belongs, at the forefront of our society, if we want to have great future leaders. So that's where my last thought is going. I challenge you to take away or to make sure everybody has Wi-Fi, computers, a lunch. That's my challenge. That's my challenge that I send out. And that's the last thought I would like to end on.
That's a great thought to end on. Put more money into education.
Pay our teachers. Pay them.
Thank you. I mean,
they were already using their own resources. Like I say, COVID has just put a big spotlight on everything that we've been doing wrong. Pay our teachers. They deserve to be paid more. Now you want to ask them to go sign their death wish, but then they make it minimum wage. I don't understand that. We have to do better. We have to do better, and every parent, and like I said, I don't have any kids, and even if I don't have any kids, everybody needs to be on board with we need better for our education system. Bottom line.
absolutely. We'll end with that, and I'll tell you this, you know, rock the vote. People struggled, women struggled to rock the vote. There were people that hobbled and did all that they could to get to those polls. So let's not be lax about that, and let's continue the legacy to get out there and vote and be the change that you want to see in the world. And
Yes.
each one and each one of us help each other more than we have been. You know, right now we're being called to do so many things on a spiritual level. People need to wake up. You know, it's time to get back to community. It's time to get back to love. It's time to get back to unity. And, it's us who are having a problem. These kids are resilient. You remember being a kid. We bounced back. So whatever, as long as I was with my mother, I was good. I could do anything as long as I was with mommy. And I know a lot of y'all can attest to that. So if I had to move over to Kalamazoo or go out to Cali or Arizona or down to Georgia or move to Jersey City or go to Hoboken, I was with mommy. That's where the foundation starts. So our kids are resilient. You know, we as adults have to come together and show them a better way because they're watching. They're watching. They got that microchip, man. We all have one when we were a kid. So as I say to all of my people, Sammy Sosa, you know I love you, baby.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, and I will see you guys. Penny and Tamika, I have to talk to you. I have to. I'm gonna call you. I know you might have to do something, but I really gotta talk to you. Okay? Good stuff. All right?
Okay,
Thank
awesome.
you guys.
Love you guys. See you next week.
See you
Ben.
Okay.
later.
Later.